my name is Liesl Freudenstein, and I am the children's buyer at the Boulder Bookstore, and this is the Boulder Bookstore YouTube channel. The other day, I was out in my garden, and there were a whole bunch of birds out there. I was like, huh, that's interesting. Well, not really that interesting because it is bird season, but I was watching them, and it occurred to me that we have a lot of lovely books about birds that you might be interested in that I would like to share with you. The first one, it just came out the other day, is The Magnificent Book of Birds, and it is exactly what it says. This beautiful book will take you deep into the forest, far out to the sea, and high into the air, and discover the amazing birds that live there. So they're all real birds, they're not made-up birds. Oh, look, there you go, California condor. I did see turkey vultures over at picnic once. I thought that was fun too. Puffins, oh no, wait, toucans. So that's a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous book for that. Speaking of gorgeous books, this one is How to Make a Bird. And you probably can't see, but down here in the slight detail, if you shine it a little bit like this, you can see it has sort of some of the aerodynamics of birds, and it is basically exactly that. So you make a bird by gathering lots of little light bones, and then they have to float on air. It's just really fantastic and interesting to sort of, spark your mind about how birds fly and why they fly and what it must feel like to fly as a bird. So, very beautiful. Then, this one cracked me up so much. I love this one. Jonathan and the Giant Eagle. He gets a pet. His parents ask him what kind of pet he wants, as usual. So of course he says, you know what I want? A giant mythical golden eagle. So he gets one, and he has a lot of adventures with it, although he is quite convinced that it's possible that it's responsible for some of the missing dogs in the area. So that's a little thing. But it's a really lovely relationship between a boy and his giant bird. He does eventually, he does have to let the bird go because it is a giant eagle eating dogs. Huh. Who knew? This one, I love early reader books. I just think they're so creative and so much fun. They just go, the authors just get on a tangent and they just run with it. And this is one of them. This is Sherlock Bones and the Natural History Mystery. It is a graphic novel. And Sherlock Bones is, as you can see, bony, because he is a skeleton, like in one of those little displays with a skeleton bird of a frogmouth, pygmy, tawny, something frogmouthy. But he has his character Watts, who is just a stuffed bird. And it never says anything, but they have a really great conversation, and Watts tells apparently the funniest jokes. If only you knew what they were. Because every once in a while he just cracks up. This series is so fun because you do learn a lot, because they are in the Natural History Museum, so you learn a lot about the natural histories of what you might find in a museum, along with the jokes, as I say. And this one they solve, there's some sort of character who is alive, and I can't believe I said that. I love early reader books. Who is alive, and they discover Grace, who is actually a raccoon who has broken into the museum and is causing fun and havocs. And she appears in the later ones too as sort of a sidekick. When you need fingers, thumbs, raccoons. Anyway, Sherlock Bones and the Natural History Mystery. Another super fun early reader series is Real Pigeons. The first one, this is the third one I have in my hands. The first one was Real Pigeons Fight Crime. I mean, right? So fun. And here's what the back says. Well, it's hard work flying around out there, fighting crime, munching on breadcrumbs. The squad rarely rests, and is definitely not now, with a bone-crunching vulture on the loose and a lost kid to help. These birds want to nest, and nest hard, but will they ever find the perfect nest to take the perfect nap? You have to read it to find out. They're so fun. Again, it's got a lot of illustrations, so it's very firmly in the early reader category. But speaking of pigeons, Coup. This one is new in paperback. Earlier this past year, I think March, I think. It came out in hardcover last year, so it kind of flew on the radar because nobody noticed that it was there because 2020 was that way. Anyway, this one is a young human girl who is actually being raised by pigeons. So it's a bit odd, that part, but once you get over that, because it's well written, like it's well written enough that that leap is sort of not that big of a deal. So all the pigeons have their personalities. Pigeons usually are very flock oriented, so what's good for the flock, whereas a couple of pigeons have actually sort of gone off and they're thinking more individually, and that's how they have a human to raise. She does eventually get rescued, picked up by a human person who is also the rescuer of some of the little pigeons, and so when one of the pigeons gets hurt, this woman has been, gathering them up and taking care of them. And she does the same thing with Coup. She, Coup has to learn how to talk and eat and respond, and it's really heartwarming. It's a really lovely little story. So, Coup. Pigeons. The teen books that I found are a little darker because that's just the teen world right now. They are all fantasy. The first one that I have discovered, I read it a couple of years ago, called The Merciful Crow. Each, in this fantasy world, there are different tribes and different races, and they all have specific jobs, but they are associated with bird nomenclature. So there's like the eagles, the cranes end up being doctors. The crows, of course, people tend to look down on crows for whatever reason, even though they're the smartest bird. So they actually are the plague barriers. So there is a plague that is happening in this world, and the crow tribe is immune to the plague for some reason. So they're the ones that have to go in to the town and take care of the dead. The whole setup is really fascinating and interesting and very well thought out, I thought. There's a lot of action in it because that's not all that happens. Like, they're not just going around from place to place burying dead bodies. That would be boring. This one, there is, of course, a royal coup. Politics are involved. You have to use your magic, which is associated with your bird tribe. It's really, really, really good. I enjoyed it very much. Margaret Owen is the author. Yeah. Oh, and the second one is out too. I can't remember what it's called though. Oh, there it is. Faithless Hawk. Second one is called Faithless Hawk. All right. So the new hot series, although it has been out for a while, is the Leigh Bardugo, the Shadow and Bone. It's on Netflix right now. There is a duology that also takes place in the same world, and I think some of the characters have been introduced in the series, on the Netflix series, because they show up again in this one. So it's Six of Crows and then Crooked Kingdom, and this is about Kaz Brekker. So he does appear in the TV show that's happening right now. He's sort of a ne'er-do-well, a thief, what do you call it? Thief captain? Anyway, he's pulling off a big heist. Does it work? You'll have to find out later. So, thanks again for subscribing. We really appreciate everything. It's such a lovely day. Go out and look at some birds. Perhaps pick up a bird book. Bye!